For us, it's a daily thing.
It's every day, right?
This is Mammoth Daily
We're going to take you inside the locker room
with Mike Fulta.
We want this show to be about the fans, and we want this show to be driven by our Utah Mammoth community.
And Adrian Denny.
Fans can submit what they want to hear us talk about, what they want to hear Utah weigh in on. It's all going to be here.
Here's Mike and AD with you.
Utahns, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Right here on Mammoth Daily.
Hey everybody, welcome on in to this Tuesday Mailbag edition of Mammoth Daily. Adrian Denny with you. We're going to get straight to Mike's morning after and then head coach Andre Tourigny after a 6-2 win against Vancouver. And on Monday's episode, I said, I'm sorry, it's an implied win. They're the worst team in the NHL. You've got 2 big games left before the break. You want to be in a playoff spot at the Olympic break. This is an implied win. It's a game you need to go take against a team that had 2 wins in January. And the Mammoth did that. They scored that first one. Vancouver got it back. Utah quickly responded. The Mammoth in the contest were there in every momentum situation that you could be to take over the game. They score their first goal 10 seconds after Vancouver got that early power play, just 1:24 into the game, and they were off and running, and so was Nick Schmaltz, and so was John Marino. Schmaltz with the 4-point night in the hat trick, Marino with 3 assists to set a new career high. So they managed the game. When Vancouver tied it up, the Mammoth, 33 seconds later, took the 2-1 lead on another goal from Schmaltz. It came off of a face-off. They were just there in situations that mattered, that can tilt a hockey game, and they were able to do so against a Vancouver team who, as of recent, has lost games 5-2 to San Jose, 6-0 to Edmonton, 6-3 to Montreal, 5-0 to Toronto, 5-3 to Buffalo, 6-3 to Philadelphia, 6-3 to San Jose, for another one, and 4-0 to Detroit. It was a Monday night at home. You wanted to put on a show. You wanted a convincing win. You didn't want to play catch up again, and the Mammoth did a great job of picking up that 29th victory of the season. And in the NHL, you don't just show up. You got to go out. You got to take control. Mammoth took control, managed the momentum situations, didn't slip as the night went on. I thought they got better as the night went on. That first period for me was a little too helter-skelter against a Vancouver team who was all over the map. Utah was playing fast because they saw the opportunity. Second period kind of dialed things in. Started off with that power play goal from Mikhail Sergachev, 16 seconds into the situation. We've got all sorts to cover on the power play for Utah, who took a 3-1 lead on their way to a 5-1 lead by getting 3 goals in a 7-minute span to break the game open, as we expected them to do, as I think they expected themselves to do. It was a 6-2 win, but it didn't feel like the Mammoth won the Stanley Cup when you talk to the guys after the game. They knew Vancouver's record, but they didn't treat it as a night off. I would call it maybe a good night to work on your habits. You wanted to stick to your details. You wanted to hone in on some things, some special teams, and you wanted to close it strong. And the Mammoth in that third period, to the credit of Vancouver, who pushed back, played some good 5-on-5 hockey, drew some power plays. Utah had to stick to their details and stick to how they want to play to win the game, how they wanted to win the game. So with the expectations the Mammoth have for themselves, for the team that we know that they have, and we know where they want to be, this was why I called it an implied win. 5-1, 6-2, something like that. Not something you give up another early goal and you're playing around for 40 minutes going back and forth. It was pretty much all Utah in this game, even when it was a little helter-skelter, even when it wasn't quite as dialed in as usual. So those are my opening thoughts. So much to cover. Cannot wait to get to special teams with you, but let's get to Mike Fulta and his morning after.
Welcome into your Mike's Morning After following a 6-2 win for the Utah Mammoth at home against the Vancouver Canucks. And before we get into the game, I just wanted to shout out the Delta Center. I think the last few weeks, the last few games, that place has been incredible. They were giving it to the officials tonight, which I'm not condoning, but you can tell how into the game everybody is. When O'Brien was denied his fight with Evander Kane, the whole place was standing up and demanding that the linesman allow them to drop the gloves. But I just think the venue has been some of the best that I've seen it, and it's been fun to watch it build too. Like, it's been great all year, but especially in the last couple weeks, last few games, the atmosphere in that building has been incredible, and I think the guys can feel it too. But getting to the game, we talked to JJ Peterka right after on the radio, and we heard it a little bit from some other guys on the radio as well throughout the game doing the walk-off interviews. Really cool feature of our radio broadcast if you've never listened. But some of the guys kind of mentioned that it wasn't a game. The final score didn't tell you how dominant one team was over another. Like, yeah, Utah never trailed and they won 6-2, but you look at the scoring chances, you look at the Sporlogic numbers, and how many high danger chances, how many shots from dangerous areas each team had. It was pretty even. I think the moral of the story tonight against Vancouver was that you had two teams making the same plays. You just had better players making those plays for the Mammoth than what Vancouver had. It was kind of a product of the Jimmies and Joes out there, and the Mammoth had better Jimmies and Joes tonight. Execution is the word that JJ Peterka used, kind of describing the game. Mammoth made the most of their opportunities. It wasn't like, Utah got outshot, for goodness sakes, right? Now, a big part of that is you get up early, right? You get up early, you're up heading into the first intermission, and then you score a bunch of goals in the second to take control of the game. So you're not necessarily pressing the same way offensively, taking chances that you might when it's tighter or you're trailing even. You can afford to be a little bit more conservative offensively, but all the same, I don't think the final score is totally indicative of the pace and the intensity with which this game was played. I give credit to a Vancouver team that's going through it right now. Like, I thought, the Bluger, Garland, Liam Ogren line was really good for them, and definitely the one that jumped off the page the most. But the Mammoth executed. They made the most of their opportunities. How many times did we say they couldn't execute earlier in the season, even last year? Why do you bring a guy like JJ Peterka in to score? Because the Mammoth have created chances, even dating back to last year, but they couldn't score at a high enough rate. Now they're able to do that. They're able to do it tonight, at least. But think back in November when we're saying, yeah, the analytics are good, but they're not scoring goals. It wasn't the case here tonight. It was the opposite, where the analytics aren't really impressive at all. But you make the most of each opportunity. You score when you have the chance to, and Vancouver couldn't come up with big saves. Although, thinking back, Lankinen wasn't letting 6 goals, right? But he had some good saves on Clayton Keller. Like the Mammoth had some chances. I think the biggest thing, well, not the biggest thing, but I think one of the kind of ancillary points that I fixate on from tonight is Utah getting some key cogs in motion in the offensive wheel. The top line with Keller, Schmaltz, and Krause, that line produces 4 goals. And it was a line that had been quiet really ever since Krause was out due to illness against Nashville at the start of the last road trip. That line hadn't done a ton offensively. They had been outshot really heavily the last few games. Well, they were really good tonight, and they were good enough in their own zone that they could then break the puck out with speed and control voice crack. Sorry, it's been a long night. A lot of goals. It tends to happen. They could break the puck out with speed and control, and we saw Utah get a bunch of chances off the rush with those guys. Now, some of that's because Vancouver's pushing, but and you get a power play goal. Power play had been dormant. You get a power play goal on the one timer from Sergachev, and so you get two elements there that get woken up a little bit, and hopefully that bleeds over into Wednesday against a really good Detroit team. But this is one where you hopefully you dust your hands off and you move on. And this is one where you have to employ the midnight rule, right? You won 6-2, but don't rest on your laurels. That's a Vancouver team that's going through a rebuild. They're last place in the NHL. You're supposed to beat them. Doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't mean they're to be taken lightly, because they came out with really good pace in the first period, I thought, and at times had pace throughout. But it's a team you're supposed to beat. You beat them. Good work. We move on at midnight. And so got to get ready for Detroit coming up on Wednesday. Last one before the break. Can't look ahead. Got to buckle down for these 2 points because everyone else is winning in the Western Conference. So you have to keep pace. But you get some guys going. Schmaltz does the hat trick, obviously, but you get the power play going. You get the top line going here tonight. And the Mammoth execute. I thought those were the biggest themes from tonight's win.
So thanks for joining us, everybody, wherever you're getting us today. Apple, Spotify, Utah Mammoth YouTube page, Mammoth Plus, SCG Plus. I'm Adrian Denny, your radio host on Hockey Night in Utah. That was Mike Folta, our radio play-by-play announcer. We're with you every day, Monday through Friday here on Mammoth Daily. New episodes dropping at 4:45 a.m. So we are ready to get you going for your commute. What head coach Andre Tourigny think of the game? Sometimes these games, you look at the scoreboard, fans have fun, and we're so glad that our fans had fun because the Delta Center is like nothing else in sports. 16-8-2 at home with over 60% of your home games left. That's a big deal. That's some stuff you can take advantage of. 7-1-1 in the last 9 at home, going back to January 1st, and the Mammoth have been able to make the Delta Center home sweet home with, as Mike said, the fans that create the atmosphere, create the juice, create the energy, and it's a big deal. So you can have 6-2 wins that the fans have fun in and the coach doesn't like, right? They go up and down, and it's pond hockey, and you lose your habits and you're not a better team for it, for what you have to come out and do the next game, which is play a Detroit team, second best record in the Atlantic Division. You already beat them 4-1. In the NHL, when you beat a team, they're going to come back harder the next time, as we saw against Dallas on Saturday night. But I think Bear was pretty happy with this one. Let's hear what the Utah head coach said after the game.
Big night for our special team. I liked our PK a lot, obviously, our power play as well. Even on the first power play, we the way we attack, we had the intensity, we recovered those pucks. So I like our special team. We were really opportunistic. We found a way to score a big goal at key moment early in the game and throughout the game. I think Schmaltz was really good everywhere. He was good defensively, his trip puck, his body position was good. I like this game a lot. Marines as well. I think Marines was solid in his game. His puck decision was good, and obviously made really good play, produce, and all of it.
So there's head coach Andre Tourigny talking about everything in that game. It was a big game for Dick Schmaltz, who finished off the hat trick in the third period. Utah joining Chicago as the only other team in the NHL that has 2 players with 2 hat tricks this year. Nick Schmaltz and Logan Cooley. For the Blackhawks, it's Connor Bedard and Tyler Bertuzzi. So Schmaltz finished the hat trick right there, put him up to 22 goals on the season, just 2 behind Dylan Guenther for the team lead. Mammoth tied in the NHL as being a team that has 3 players with at least 20 goals. So that is another pinnacle for Utah, tied being the top team in the NHL is only having 3 players with 20 or more goals. They've got some scores on this team. Let's hear from Nick Schmaltz and see what he said post game after this.
I think over the last month or so, we've been playing some good hockey and slipped a couple of games in a row there, so we want to get back on track tonight. We knew this was a big game for us. Standings are super tight, so it was a huge win for us on home ice. A lot of great plays by some guys finding me, and fortunate bounce on one of them, but super excited to get a hat trick and help the team win. Feel confident, especially playing center. Feel like I can use my speed a lot and facilitate and make plays through the middle of the ice, and playing with some great line mates. So it's been a lot of fun, and hopefully we can keep it going.
So the Mammoth get the big performance from, the big performance from Nick Schmaltz, the 4-point night, the hat trick. John Marino had 3 assists. We'll get more on him, the big defenseman, now has a career high in points. Here from Mikhail Sergachev. But let's talk about special teams. And here's why they're so important. Because the Mammoth now in 14 straight games have outscored their opposition 5-on-5. Last time they didn't, the New Jersey game, second game of 2026. In their last 5 losses, they've been outscored on special teams. So you see here, gosh, we're special teams away from a 14-game winning streak, or instead of being, 10-3, 11-3-1 in the last 15 to, maybe 13-1-1. So you get special teams average, your record's going to shoot up because you haven't outscored in 5-on-5 hockey in a month from today. So went 4-for-4 on the PK. They went 1-for-2 on the power play, and they won the special teams battle. They got that power play goal. First power play of the night looked pretty good. Second one, 16 seconds in, they were able to score. So for head coach Andre Tourigny, what's the difference and what can they build on moving forward in terms of just getting that power play rolling?
Our power play, I think at some point you need to hit rock bottom, because the message has been the same for long time. But at some point, when you hit rock bottom, you kind of realize, it's true. We need to change something. And I think I had a great meeting yesterday. The practice this morning was okay. I right away I felt okay. Now there's a change of attitude. There's change in the way we want to do thing, and there were maybe a little bit of change in the accountability of what we want as well. But I think the guys really own it, took charge, and we were flying in the morning skate on the power play. And I think it translates tonight when the game started. We won the first draw, and right away we attack. We have a great one-timer, recover the loose puck. Right away we were in. We could see we met business, so it was not about how long we will have the puck. It will be we're attacking here tonight, and it worked. Now we need to build off it, and Detroit will be a good test. Their power play is excellent, so our power play will need to match, and we'll talk about Detroit later. But long story short, we'll have one more game before the break, before we cross the line, and we need to be solid.
Detroit has the 8th best power play in the NHL. Utah went 3-for-4 on the penalty kill in that 4-1 win against the Red Wings in December. So dominated 5-on-5, gave up a power play goal, only blemish in the whole game. You heard Bear. I mean, coaches can only do so much, right? 24/7, 365. There's people working on the power play. There's the coaching staff. There's video. There's analytics, right? Like that, we're talking dozens of people here, right? It's not something that they just think, oh, shoot, forgot about that power play again. No, it's the NHL's 24/7, 365 in every area. And in the NHL, just like the players, the coaches are elite. They're smart. They're watching trends. They're watching video. They're watching other teams. It's cyclical the way teams adjust, but the players needed to go handle this. We've talked for months about what's a successful power play. getting a puck on net and retrieving the puck and continuing that process. You don't score on your first shot, and not much happens when you're skating around on the perimeter. And that's the message. It's simple. Quick passes, shots, recoveries, goals. You see NHL teams, they play with urgency on the power play, and they zip it. They're going. They're moving. They're recovering pucks. Mammoth, you could say they've been patient. You could say they've been passive. It's just not enough happening. A lot of outside. It's final time I'm saying it. Hopefully we don't have to say it again. Quick passes, shots. Don't fire at everything, but get into positions, move the puck around, and fire and recover and go to town recovering those pucks so you can get it back out to the point and you can move forward. So power play, 1 for 4. Players have to do it. They have to execute it. That everybody in the NHL is doing the same thing, right? So there's been some feedback on coaches. Like, players know what they need to do, and they went out and did it. Like, when your boss tells you something, you're always 100% on board, dialed in, doing exactly what, not usually, right? Kind of been the same with the Mammoth power play. Let's bring in Mikhail Sergachev and hear from him just some general thoughts on the game. For me, it was a game I needed to be sold on. It didn't come immediately. Wasn't it 2-1? Wasn't it 3-1? Okay, 5-1. They mean business. Now in the third period, let's keep this margin where it is and maybe increase it. And thanks to Vancouver bringing it, Utah was able to stay, they had to stay focused. They had to stay engaged. They had to stay dialed, detailed to be where they wanted to be to finish the game. If 5-2 games can end up 5-4 just like that. Vancouver had a power play trying to make it 5-3 in the third. Utah killed it, moved on from there. But playing the worst team in the league, when you got a big lead, you're scared to death if you're head coach. Like, come on, guys, stick to the details, stick to the plan. Don't get sloppy. Don't let anything seep into something that's going to be with us going into the Detroit game, and the Mammoth didn't do it. Let's hear what Mikhail Sergachev said after the game. I think he kind of goes in that direction too.
Definitely score goals. We still got a lot of things to improve on with our consistency for sure. We didn't do a good job tonight. We got to be better in the neutral zone, defending and with the puck. So and sometimes we were just messing around with it too much in the O-zone, and instead of just pounding the puck and going to get rebounds. It's obviously great to see when Schmaltzy gets 5. It's a big night, and we're all happy for him. And Johnny too. He's got, I think, 3 points. It's big, and it shows that guys can make plays and create and finish. So we need more of that for sure.
So there's Sergey again. It's hard to be perfect when you're playing the worst team in the league. And again, we've exhausted it, but this game you wanted to win 6-2, and you talk to him, he's perfectionist, wants things to be perfect. It's not always easy to play a perfect game just because you don't know what's happening on the other side from shift to shift in terms of who's engaged, how long are they going to be engaged, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So went to Sergachev because it's going to be what it is. 6-2, pretty good game. Pretty good game. All the concerns that popped up in the game, I thought that Utah was there to manage them, and it was a successful night and all positive energy going into Detroit. But let's hear from Sergey on John Marino, the big 3 assists. Listen to him talk about Marino, and then next time you're at the Dulles Center, you're watching on TV, you're listening on the radio, listen, watch for these details here, and you'll see why he's having success.
Yeah, he's very very calm under pressure on the breakouts. I think that's what makes him one of the greats. Back there, I like his game a lot. Defensively too, he's very smart, knows his position well, and he's very good. And obviously, offensive zone, the same thing. He creates by outweighting the guys. there in front of him dancing, and he's just like calm and cool there, creating and shooting or walking the guy. So it's great to see.
Yeah, nice night for John Marino and the Mammoth. They take it 6-2. There we go. That unpacks the game. We're just getting started on Mammoth Daily. This might be a morning commute and an afternoon commute for you because we have so much to cover. We got our Tuesday mailbag. Then Mike has some thoughts on Daniil But, who did not play on Monday, and just looking at some case studies in the past, how he's on the right track for exactly where we want him to be. So stay close, folks. It's Mammoth Daily. It's your Tuesday. That means our mailbag is coming up next, right here.
It's time for the Tuesday Mailbag.
Welcome into your Tuesday mailbag. It's the last mailbag before the Olympic break for the Utah Mammoth and AD. We have a bunch of great submissions, as we always do, but I was told there's at least one video submission. I was told we have a couple other great questions as well.
Yeah, let's start. Let's start how the Mammoth started the game on Saturday night, and that's with penalties. Let's talk about penalties, Mike. Here's DJ. He says, is it just bad luck, or is there something else going on with all of these late end of game penalties? And, Mike, as we talked about on Monday's episode, there's been a lot of penalties. 5 of the last 6 games, 4 more shorthanded situations. And we got an answer from Bear because you remember, Mike, we're talking about it on the air on Saturday night and on Monday's episode, and a couple delay of game penalties, and then playing with a broken stick, and then a hook, right? There's not a trend. There's not any commonality with the penalties. There's just too many penalties. And Bear kind of gave us the same answer earlier, but let's hear from Bear, and let's go from there based on his answer right here.
We address or thought or study the situation. The thing is not a trend in the sense of it's not, okay, all stick penalties or after the whistle, or we find a way to take penalties. We need to have a focus on making sure we stay on the ice. There will always be penalty. There's good ones, deny a scoring chance. Sometimes you need to bring tempo, toughness to your team and cross the line. Okay, those things can happen, but we have too many at key moment on top of it. We found a way to get in the box, and that hurt us, and will hurt us moving forward if we're not more careful and more intelligent about it.
Always good to leave it to the Bear to answer our mailbag questions, and that's why we have the mailbag, AD, so we can take these questions right to the head man himself, the head honcho, Andre Tourigny. That question we can't take credit for. I believe that was Cole Bagley from KSL.com who asked that one. But all the same, we got that one answered for you. Rolling on.
Yeah, Mike, just details, right? Just details. It's the whole game. But in this case, details on the precision of what we're doing out there on the ice in every situation. All right, next one up. This one comes from Chris. It's more of a wellness check, Mike. He says, is Olli Maatta alive? Is he recovering from an injury? How has he found himself on the outs of the lineup for so long? Olli is alive, Mike. I was going to take a picture at morning skate on Monday, and then I was talking to Will Trubshaw, our producer, about the show last night, and I didn't have a chance to pull out my phone, but Ollie's good. He's doing well. Mike, he's a lefty. Your lefty on this team are Mikhail Sergachev, Nate Schmidt, and Ian Cole, right? And Olli started off as the 7th D on the opening night roster with Simashev making the team. So there's a lot of left D, and D Simone's played really well. They put him in the lineup for the first time a month into the season and hasn't really come out. And Olli's body of work as he's on an Olympic team for the second time with Team Finland. Mm-hmm. There's a dozen NHL players, Mike, that are on an Olympic roster for the second time. So just there's a lot of bodies. There's a lot of left D.
Yeah. Yeah, and he'll be playing at the Olympics, so you will get to see him alive and well in Milan coming up, as Adrian was saying. I think it's less about Olli Maatta, Adrian, and more about Nick DeSimone and the chemistry that he has had with Ian Cole. Those two together have been really good. We saw it Saturday against Dallas. Mario Duhamel continuing to throw those guys out in high leverage situations, and we call them the third pair, but they're getting a lot of run out there. It's not like they're playing 12 minutes. Like they're lugging the mail, not as much as the top two pairs per se. But I think just as a whole, Adrian, we've seen kind of a smoothing out of the minutes a little bit as of late, where it was always Sergachev's pair that's out there in those big moments, and it still is most of the time, but we're seeing maybe in 10% more of these high leverage situations, some more Schmidt and some more Marino, just because they have been so dependable. But you can also say that for Cole and DeSimone playing as a pair together. And when you have defensemen that are playing this well together, don't really want to disturb that. Mammoth right now, top 6 defensive team in the National Hockey League in terms of goals against. A lot of that has to do with goaltending and Karel Vejmelka, yes, but a lot of that also has to do with how good the Mammoth have been around their net in their own zone, and that starts with the back end.
All right, let's stay on the D, Mike. Let's talk about prospects. Let's take a question here from our buddy Kevin, who's been with us since day one.
Kevin,
so
thank
many
you.
of our day-to-dayers have, but Kevin's active in the YouTube conversation, and he's one of our favorites. He's always fighting the good fight. Question from Kevin says, long-term status of Maximilian Zuber and Artem Duda. He says both left side. He says Max has 175 AHL games, good size, and now some offense in his game. He said, Bill Armstrong said both guys were getting close to being NHL players last season and into training camp. Max is a 6th rounder from 2022, first year same year as Cooley, and going to be a restricted free agent. And Duda, of course, drafted up there as well a year later. So, Mike, you know me and my Roadrunners, and anybody that asks a question on our AHL affiliate, the Tucson Roadrunners, they're going to go. They're going to be in the mix, right? Because we love to talk about our prospects. But yeah, so same kind of deal with the depth. Mike, when Bill Armstrong was building an NHL team and they were in the rebuild, right? There was a lot more opportunity for the prospects. Like 2021, 2022, you'd go into NHL training camp and half the AHL guys would have a chance to make the team, right? Because they just didn't have the depth. And there was a lot more prospects called up. 2 years ago, 16 guys played in the NHL that also played in Tucson. And now that you've got a playoff contending roster, you probably got 2, 3, 4 call-up guys during the course of a year, right?
Yeah.
So the window there for Duda and Zuber isn't as open as it was for players like Michael Carcone, when you could go have a good training camp, make the team, or earn a midseason call-up. But here's what we got on Maximilian Zuber and Artem Duda, 2 of the top defensemen down in the AHL, 2 of the top prospects. So for Zuber, the big challenge for him has been refining his game away from the puck. He's really good with the puck. He's got skill, and he's made an emphasis this year on his physical game, learning to be hard to play against, boxing out in front of the net. He's got a high IQ with the puck, and he's able to chip in offensively thanks to his underrated ability to attack time and space and finish his chances. And I've noticed that Maxie's been in some scrums this year for the Roadrunners.
Are you reading the elite prospects breakdown of each guy's game? What scouting report do you have in front of you?
I've got some folks on the ground down in the desert that have sent Mammoth Daily some mailbag answers off the record. So that's why we don't have a video of this.
No attribution.
So that's Maxey, right?
Yeah.
Skill. He's a tall kid. Being tough, being mean.
And talking with Maverick Lamoureux when he got called up a little bit earlier this year, he had said, Adrian, that like, and my conversation with him was off the record, but I can share this because it's positive. But when I asked him how he felt he had been playing to start the year in Tucson, he said, me and Zuber, like, we've been really good, like really good. And he was very confident about that pairing, that defense pairing that had been together.
So Artem Duda, bad news about Artem. He's injured, right? No timetable on a return. He was hurt, came back for about half a game, and then left the game and didn't return. So the report on him, as we've seen, elite skater, able to break the puck out easily. The biggest key for him is going to be the ability to make that next play. What's next on the ice for Artem?
Do you think with him and his, like when you say he's an elite skater, it's not like Cale Makar going to fly past everybody, but more so like, like Gustav Forsling is a great skater, but it's not necessarily just straight line speed. It's edge work. It's using, crafty moves and that edge work to get away from forecheckers. You think that's more what that's kind of the sense I got from watching him in camp.
Yeah. He's smooth and he can kind of create his own space by the way that he can read a play and anticipate and move the puck up ice. So we were both impressed with him, and I know you've seen him. And second half of last year, I'm like, okay, this is a player here. So good to have depth. It's the prospect system, Mike. We've talked about it. It's top 5 easy in the NHL in terms of what you have. And as I said, 2-3 years ago, you're seeing half of these guys play in the NHL during the course of a season just because you don't have the roster you do now, which is a good thing, Mike. As we know, going through a build, there's some trials and tribulations and bruises and trusting the process. And when you don't win a game and you see good stuff, it's not as fun as actually going out and beating the Florida Panthers.
Well, and look at Utah's current defense right now too, right?
Yeah.
We talk about how good this Mammoth D is. Like, there's nowhere for the Tucson guys to go, but the youngest defenseman that Utah is regularly playing is Sean Dursey, who is 27 now. Yeah. So the reason I bring that up is because there's you got Nate Schmidt, who's 34, Ian Cole, who's 36, D. Simone is right around 30, Sergachev's late 20s. So like these guys have so much good hockey left, but Father Time catches everybody, and it's important to have that organizational depth, not just for like this year and injuries, but down the road as well.
Yeah, and the team in Tucson, Mike, is playing the exact same system in everything that's going on, and I think they play it very good. They are young and hungry and fast, and the identity that we're building, they're just as much a part of that. And when they come up here, they are playing the same system to a T down there. They step right in here. It's seamless. That coaching staff down there has developed so many forwards to come right in and step in. So that's another positive thing is when you call a guy up there, I don't think you're going to see any kind of transitional time growing into it because they're doing the same thing down there every day. It's in the back of their head. All right, Mike. Next one comes to us from Alan. It's directed towards you. You're a accomplished author. And it comes from Alan. He says, how can I get my boys that Tusky book that Mikey wrote? We've seen Alan and his boys.
Yes.
2 huge Mammoth fans, 2 huge Tusky fans. Mike, you wrote a book around Christmas time We played it on Hockey Night in Utah on TV. We had it on Hockey Night in Utah on the radio. Your reading of the book that you wrote, Tusky Takes the Ice. And Mike, is that your first book?
It's my first one, not published or anything. So the backstory, I wrote this book, Tusky Takes the Ice. I wrote it as a Christmas present for my little niece, Monroe. And I wanted also to give it to some of the families that I know here in Utah, whether, friends from church with little ones or, Kim's little boy, Jack Michael Becker, and Dom's kids as well. Julia, Camille, Logan wanted them to have it. So had a few copies and went to print it. And like the smallest quantity I could print it was like 20. So okay, all right. So I get.
How'd you do that? Did you? Was there like like a printing press online that you found, or did you walk into some print shops here around town?
Yeah, I called around. It's funny. I called around, and this one print shop recommended me to another, and I'm because they couldn't do it themselves. So they're like, this one's pretty good. I was like, oh, that's wonderful. Like, one print shop, they hear good things about another, and they send them some business, like they're competitors, but that's great. Well, I pull up to the second print shop, and apparently it's all owned by the same family. So it was a bit of an inside job there. But I think it was Sunrise Printing, I want to say. Could be getting that wrong. I feel a little bad. But they did a great job, but I had to order 20. Long story short, I hand some books out to family friends, the Moores, the Beckers. So had a few left over and gave it to some players as well, players with little kids. I don't have any more. And it was enough money where I'm not going to print anymore unless there's some residuals coming back to me. Now, people have asked about getting this book into the team store, and I don't know all the ins and outs, but there's a couple issues that are kind of obvious. One, there's licensing, right? So like I wrote a book and I put the Mammoth logo in there. I use like AI to generate the images for the book. And so the logo is like, it looks fine if you're just glancing at it in a kid's book, but there are like minute errors in it compared to like our official Mammoth logo. And so you can't, the last thing you want to do is have like an incorrect logo out there. So when we actually put it on TV, Adrian, they blurred out the logos of the book when they showed the pages. So that's a bit of an issue. Another issue is if you go into our store, Fanatics is our official vendor of team merchandise. And so like all team merchandise has to kind of go through Fanatics. And so that would be a big process there. And there's there's a publishing issue, name, image, and likeness. Like I use specific players' names. We have to cross that line. So all of that to say, I don't think this is going to make it into the team store for purchase. At least it doesn't seem like that at this point. I'm hoping that we can distribute it in other ways, maybe as like just a giveaway or something fun. But I don't think it's going to be available for purchase in the team store because of those aforementioned hoops to jump through. So right now it's just a fun project. I'd love it to be more than that and to be available for everybody. But yeah, we'll pass along updates as they come. Updates seem to come slowly in the publishing world, AD, when it comes to the literary circles.
I hear you. Let's take a video question from Gain. Here is Gain, one of our favorites, submitting the question via video.
Hey, Mikey, AD, it's Gain. Been watching a lot of interviews, post-game interviews, post-practice interviews, stuff like that. And seeing people like Sean Dursey and Ian Cole in particular, got a ton of hockey knowledge. They got a ton of experience in the league. They seem to be really knowledgeable in the game. What do you think about post-career, either of those guys doing coaching? Maybe even something like what you guys do with commentary. Anyway, just a question. How often does that happen in the league where players get into coaching? You see people like Watt and others in the league. Anyway, let me know what you think. I think either one of those guys would be amazing coaches.
Well, great question, Gain. Thank you for submitting. Gain dropped by the other night, Saturday against Dallas, and made my night. We'll just say that made my night. So appreciate you, Gain, for more than just your submission. But to get to the question, AD, you've had a bunch of guys with you in the booth, right? As you're calling games like throughout the minor leagues, an injured guy, you bring him up to give him a taste of color commentary, right? See if it's something they want to do in the future. Have you ever had anybody that's like gone on from calling games with you to calling games somewhere else at a higher level?
Do you know who Justin Bourne is, Mike? Does that name ring a bell? He's involved in a lot of stuff. He's done some stuff with Yahoo. He's involved in one of the networks up in Canada, be it Sportsnet, Rogers, TSN, one of those. He's a studio guy. And he him and I are the exact same age, and we were kind of coming up together.
Wait, you said Bourne?
Justin Bourne, yeah.
Is that Kipper and Bourne?
Yeah. Nick Kiprios and Justin Bourne. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So,
nice.
Yeah, we were coming up together. I was broadcaster. He was a player. And I'm like, gosh, if we would have grown up together, we would have been best friends. Yeah. And just, he was one of us, Mike. Yeah. He had that, not that we do, but he had that personality that you're like, oh gosh, this guy is good. He's quick-witted. He's intelligent, right? He reads books. Like he's
definitely not like us then.
Yeah, he's a student of the game. So he's got the hockey IQ. He's got the intellect of reading books, and he's a funny guy. And I'm like, does he have to play for us tonight, Jason? Because I'd really like him in the booth. And it's like, he's our second line center, Adrian. Get out of here. But so Justin Bourne is probably the biggest success story. You know, Jordan Schmaltz, Nick's brother, had him in Tucson, put him to work on a couple of various content projects. So I'd say those are my two success stories. Not mine, but I just happened to be around, and now I know them in their element.
In the AHL in Rockford, I had Garrett Mitchell, who was a captain for us, and he had played a while in Hershey before that. And I think my first year was his last year, but he did a few games with me and then went on to do color on TV for the Hershey Bears in the AHL, which is it's a big deal over there with Zach Fish. Yeah. They have a great production and they have a great fan base as well. So he got to, post playing, get involved with Hershey on the TV front, and does a great job over there. But one night that I was calling a game with Garrett Mitchell, Adrian, this was in, I think it was like in January. That's the crazy thing about this. This was late January in Rockford, Illinois. We had a tornado drill that stopped the game. Not a drill, but like a tornado warning stopped the game. And we went into a stairwell to wait it out, basically. And January is not tornado season at all. If you're wondering, AD, I know you're a weather guy. Tornado season's like May, right? Not January. So it was a very unusual event at the BMO Center in Rockford, but we had a tornado stop the game, and they had to get the fans down to event level, right? And there's only so much room down there to put fans. And so there were fans that were like basically in the locker room with the guys, with the players during this tornado drill. And the equipment guys are like, you cannot come in here. And, the fans are like, well, where are we supposed to go? There's a tornado coming. Like, you have to let us in here. So kind of an interesting predicament, but that's my story, bringing guys up. All of that to finally get to the Utah guys and their post-playing careers. I think Sean Dursey would be excellent in media, Adrian. I mean, he's a guy who can do anything he wants to, has that kind of intellect. Ian Cole is great at answering questions. Like same thing for him. I know he's got some little boys, so he'll want to be a dad, no doubt, for a little bit. But those are two guys that I can think of that would be great on camera and with a microphone in their hands.
Yeah, I mean, even, with the communication ability, you can also turn that into being a skills coach, being a development coach, being an assistant coach, right? Being able to articulate and communicate and relate to people as those guys are both able to do. And for me, it's just, what do they want to do, right? Because the talent and the intellect is there on both those guys. So what's the interest? You want to be a coach? You want to be a broadcaster? You want to be in management, right? Think the world of both of them. I'm gonna leave us on this one, Mike, because I just thought of one more name I can drop. That's gone on to a national sportscasting career in hockey. How about Colby Armstrong, the Arm Dog?
With you?
Had him during the NHL lockout during the 2012-2013 season.
Wow.
Not for very long, but he was conditioning and came on a trip up to Alaska with us. So
he is hilarious.
Yeah.
He is hilarious. Had a chance to meet him in person once or twice, and he's there's no change from who he is off camera to on camera.
Yeah.
He's incredible.
So just to drop some more names, me and you, Mike, we're all about who's whoing and who we know and all that stuff. So,
we know you, AD. You like to see and be seen.
Yeah. So thanks for the question, Gain. And the sky's the limit for Sean Durzi, Ian Cole, and anybody that's in the NHL that has reached the NHL as a player, Mike, can pretty much do anything they ever want.
I'm trying to think of
that's
one.
That's the hard part, getting to the NHL as a player. Now, what's next? What do you want to do? Do you want to enjoy retirement on the beach, or do you want to stay in the game? Do you want to broadcast part-time? You want to be 100 hours a week as an executive or coach? It's anybody in the NHL. It's what do you want to do?
Yeah, those are the two I think of, Cole and Durzi for sure, that I would pin as most likely to be a broadcaster, like to be in a vocal position. But obviously all these guys have the acumen to, the knowledge at least to be a coach, but there's a lot more than goes into being a coach than just the knowledge itself. Got to be able to relate to players. I think that's what you were talking about. So that all we got here? Man, this is a great one.
That was a blast, Mike. It was a blast. Thanks to everybody for writing in. And again, we've got some homework assignments. We had a fan submit a question giving me a homework assignment during the Olympic break, and I'm on it. I will have an answer to that after the break, and we still have some stuff we need to go into the locker room and gather to finish up some mailbag questions.
Yeah, can't wait. Great stuff, everyone, and thank you for your submissions.
This is Mammoth Daily.
Wrapping up your Tuesday here on Mammoth Daily, and this is a little mailbag plus one here, Adrian, but we had a couple people reach out to us asking, when are fans going to be allowed to visit practices and watch practices? Because we had our friends over at Ski Utah that were invited out to a practice. And AD, I have never seen a hockey practice as jammed as what we had. What was that, on Saturday morning skate before the Dallas game? A ton of kids and parents and family out at the practice facility to watch practice. Fans are asking, and AD, I got some info on this. I just wanted to pass it along, but and forgive me, these comments are going to be a little bit vague. That's intentional. It's something that the team and the organization is looking into, having fans out at the practice facility. But anybody who was there on Saturday with Ski Utah, you would have noticed that it was a bit of a process. There's a check-in. You had to kind of walk through a certain area, past the ropes to get to the specific spectator spot, because the players are right there. So there has to be separation between the players and the fans. On top of that, they're still not finished with everything there, AD. They put seats up around one of the rinks, but that was new. That was done within the last couple of days. So they're still adding things on as we speak right now. But having fans there at practice, it's something that is in the works. It's being discussed right now. There's just no concrete plan for it as of yet. So again, forgive the vagueness, but I will say this: the organization was very, encouraged by the attendance we got with the Ski Utah folks, because the line was around the block. Adrian and I had to park in Draper to walk over, and it was a ton of fun to be with everybody. But That's kind of the update we have on that front.
The buzz of practice on Saturday was kind of like watching the Stadium Series game on Sunday. Like, it was berserk, and it was a blast. So, yeah, building is still, you hear about the Olympic ice sheet in Italy, Mike, and it sounds like, it's the ice sheet's done. It's ready to go. It's set for international competition, right? But, you have the other stuff that's not done yet. And that's how our facility is. It went up in record time, and the hockey operations facilities are done, state of the art, perfect. The ice, the locker room, the lounge, the stuff.
The planning for our practice facility, I want to give credit to Pat Murphy and the crew. The planning was a little bit better than what we're seeing in Milan.
Right. No, 100%. I'm just saying, like, so you got your ice sheet, but then there's the other bones of the building that you're putting together. That's not.
I would say
done yet.
once every couple weeks we walk in and it's like, oh, that's new.
Yeah.
Like a couple days ago, it was like actual seats where we can sit along. And when we had the Ski Utah folks, the capacity was, I think, 500 sitting in that second rink, kind of off to the side. That's where those seats went. So 500 sitting, you could probably get another 100 or so around the glass for like a high school game or a youth game. So yeah, it was a great atmosphere. But AD, are you good if I take over a little bit here in the third?
Oh.
I had a note I wanted to get to.
Let's hear it, man.
Okay. So if I can get on my soapbox a little bit here, and I bring this up in light of Daniil But being scratched from the lineup. It was a healthy scratch last night against the Vancouver Canucks. And so far this year, he's got 3 goals and 4 assists so far through 28 games of play. So hasn't had crazy offensive numbers. He was a point per game guy in the American Hockey League earlier this season. He's 20 years old. You look at his projection right now, if he finishes out the rest of the year with the big club. If he plays around 50 games, he is currently, and I can get the exact numbers here if you give me just a little bit. He's on pace for around 15 points or so. Again, I'm sorry. Give me a second to pull this up. I'm going to get the exact number here. He's on pace for 6 goals, 8 assists, 14 points. I want to compare him to a guy from last year, Josh Doan, who is now with, as we all know, the Buffalo Sabres. Last year, with the Utah Hockey Club, Doan had 19 points in 51 games. So, excuse me, kind of the same neighborhood scoring-wise as Daniil But. And I was first triggered into thinking about this comparison when Andre Tourigny was talking about Daniil But needing to learn how to score at this level, because he's had a lot of chances. Look at his expected goals numbers. They're really high. His analytics are great. He just hasn't scored as much as he's needed to. And Andre Tourigny told me it was a lot like Josh Doan last year. Like, it took Josh time to learn how to score in the NHL. And much like Daniil But, Josh was a point-a-game guy in the American Hockey League last year when he was down there. Was he an American League All-Star, Adrian?
He was.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he was an AHL All-Star. He was a point-per-game guy, but scoring at the NHL level was difficult for him, even though there were a lot of tools there that we all could see, what we could point at and say, like, oh, yeah, like, that's an NHL player right there. He's coming. It just took a little bit for him to learn how to score. Now, if we look at Josh Doan and the season that he is having with the Buffalo Sabres, he's one of their goal-scoring leaders. He has 16 goals on the year, 36 points, on pace for well over 20. And he just signed a big contract extension with Buffalo to be a part of their core moving forward. And he has been a huge piece of the Sabres turnaround. I liken what Daniil But is going through this year to what Josh Doan went through last year, where there's a lot of really good things going on with Daniil But just not scoring. like you'd want him to. A lot of great things we saw from Josh Doan last year, just didn't score at the rate that you'd want him to. And Doan got sent down to the AHL. Remember that? In the middle of last year, he got sent down to Tucson. Both guys also with dad that played professional hockey. Daniil's dad, Anton, played professionally over in Europe. He's a coach as well. Josh, obviously, his dad is Shane Doan, played a zillion games in the National Hockey League. The difference is Daniil But, 2 years younger than Josh was last year, didn't have the opportunity to play college hockey or anything like that. This year is his first foray into the North American game, where Josh had been in the North American game growing up. So I think Josh had a bit of an advantage in that sense over Daniil. And Daniil But, I think, probably has more offensive upside. I don't think he's as good of a forechecker as Josh Doan was with Utah last year. Josh so good with his stick, won so many battles. I think Daniil But has more offensive skill and upside than Josh Doan has. It's just that learning to score. And it was those other comparables, right? They both have the fathers that played. They both were point-a-game guys in the AHL. It's just taken them a little bit. So don't be surprised if Daniil But only finishes with 15, 16 points this year. And then next year is putting up numbers like what Josh Doan is doing with Buffalo, where all of a sudden he's on pace to score 20.
Same thing with Dylan Guenther, Mike. First half of the 22-23 season, played in the NHL, had the same numbers as But and Doan. Had to go back to juniors because he couldn't play in the AHL because he was only 19 and he wasn't turning 20 before December, but same exact thing. Same numbers, went back to juniors, started in the AHL, went back up, and boom.
And I don't think I've heard a lot of people complaining that much about Daniil But. I think most people are pretty optimistic about him from what I've heard. I just hear everybody's looking at Josh Doan and the way he's playing in Buffalo, and they're like, oh, why did we trade this guy? And I answer that by saying, okay, you get a guy in JJ Peterka who has a lot more goal-scoring upside than Josh has, and you're able to backfill that role that Doan played in the middle six, the bottom six, with Daniil But right now. Now, eventually, we hope that But's a top six guy, right? Top line type guy. But you're able to kind of backfill that spot with a similar young player in Daniil But, and they play different styles, but similar production, who's younger and has more offensive upside. So that's kind of how I see it. And I know everyone's jealous of what Josh Doan's doing in Buffalo. We're happy for him, but the trade was all about asset management and bringing in guys with higher ability. And you have that in Peterka, and then But, who you knew was coming up.
And Peterka is still growing, Mike. He's 24. It's year number 1 in this program, in this culture, and he's going to keep progressing both in that locker room and on the ice.
Yeah, and he's been good. He's been good. I know there's been some learning moments with him this year, but still has 19 goals. Had some really good plays with Yamamoto on Saturday against Dallas. On pace for little under 60 points right now, which is comparable to what he was doing in Buffalo. But again, it's the upside. It's the upside you're looking for. And the best teams in the league have elite players, and you have to give something up to go and try and get elite players.
Totally. Great stuff, Mike. Fun Tuesday.
Yeah.
After the mailbag, stay tuned. You never know what we're going to throw at you in the third period. Great show, Mike. Back at our Wednesday Odd Man Rush. How about we bring on another prospect? We had so much fun with Tija Ginla last week. How about Cole Baudouin coming up on tomorrow's episode?
Okay, so your pronunciation is closer than I thought it was at first, because I was trying to French it up like Baudouin, like not even saying the N. You're like Mark Twain, Cole Baudouin.
I'll tell you why. Mike. I remember his dad playing in the AHL. That's how I got the name down.
I still throw a little bit more French on it than you.
Well,
I'm a Baudouin.
You have to account for the Utah accent. Mike, and how I'm saying it. Right?
Utah accent, please.
The Utah twang, Bo Dwayne.
Okay, that's the first time I've heard a Utah twang.
Really? You haven't noticed it? It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb to you?
There's no twang. No,
You don't think?
That's
Okay,
why
perfect.
there's so many great news people from Utah, because there are no accents. It's like Indiana. We don't have a Midwestern accent, don't have a Southern accent.
Makes me feel so much better you saying that, Mike.
Yeah.
That I don't have to work on my non-regional diction anymore.
I mean, when I lived in Atlanta for a couple years, I started to get a little Southern. I started to sound like Dixie a little bit. But now that's been slapped out of me, so we're right back down the middle, as we always try to be here on Mammoth Daily. You're right, AD. This was a great episode and a fun episode for us to do. Hope everybody enjoys it. As always, leave a comment on YouTube. We try to get to as many of those as we can, and we also tend to talk about them on the radio broadcast as well. So that could be your ticket into your NHL radio broadcasting debut, is a mention from Adrian or I on Hockey Night in Utah. But Mammoth will wrap up the homestand tomorrow against the Detroit Red Wings. So we'll have a preview of that game for you tomorrow morning on your Wednesday Odd Man Rush episode with Colbo Dwan. But AD, fun stuff. Talk to everybody tomorrow.